Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply, and this is the Leather Element. If you've got a good question for us or a good idea for a Leather Element, drop it in the comment box below. Also, if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. For us crafters, I've always said, profit is not our motivation. We're in it for the enjoyment of the craft and the outcome of the beautiful projects, right? But here's where I'm going with this. Budget, always a concern. Now at Weaver, on our tools, just on our English, round end, and oblong, it's 32 different tools. Do we need these in our shop? Absolutely. Do we need every size? Absolutely not. So let's do this. I'm a standard crafter, standard use on my tools. So let's take a look at 5 of my tools, see which sizes I use the most common sizes. That will allow us to take money that we might spend on tools we may or may not use. Well, let's take that money and spend it on tools, liquids, leathers that we know we're going to use. Now, there's an odd way to figure this out. You'll see what I'm talking about. This can be a little bit subjective because if we're working in saddle and tack, we're going to go with the larger tools, 2-inch and 2-inch. Or if we're working in watch bands, small cuffs, let's go with a 1/2 inch and a 3/8. But setting those aside, in a standard shop, so with me, 1.5 inch and 1 inch on our round end and English punch. Standard belt size, standard strap size. But this is funny because when you order one of the master tools from Weaver, and in my opinion, not a sales pitch, my opinion, these are the best tools on the market. But when we get these are going to come with a protective coating. It's just going to protect the metal, and it comes off with some simple alcohol. But here's where I'm going with this. So when I got my tools in, I must have taken the time to clean each and every oblong. That's a beautiful tool. I neglected, evidently, to clean my round end and my English point. Well, I'm a little dismayed at the laziness there, but at this point, I'm a little happy about it because this is going to show us exactly what I'm talking about. So, on my 2-inch tool, not much use there, a little bit. On my 5/8, a little bit more. We can see I'm starting to clean that off. But down here, on my 3/4, absolutely clean on both the round end and the English punch. So those two are very commonly used in my shop. On our oblongs, I'm a little bit different, but the rule in leathercraft, 1-inch strap, 1-inch oblong, 1.5 and 3/4. Now, the reason I say I'm a little bit different is because I like to go with just a little more length on that. So 1.5, I'm going to go with a 1 3/4, 1 inch, 1 1/4, and 3/4 about 1 inch, simply because when the prong on that buckle curls around the bar, sometimes that can be really big. I want that to comfortably sit inside the oblong. But again, the rule of thumb here, 3/4, 1, 1.5, those are going to be my most commonly used tools. Okay, next up, another tool. We can absolutely tell which one I use the most simply by the wear. We've got 4 sizes in the Master Tool Edger, and it is not hard to figure out which one I use the most. That's a number 2. That's good for 8 to 9 ounce, standard belt weight. Really 7 to 8, maybe 9 to 10 ounce. Now, down on the 0 and the 3, I don't work in very lightweight leathers or very heavyweight leathers. So the 2 I typically have in my shop are a number 1 for 4 to 5 ounce and a number 2. Well, so a number 1, 4 to 5 ounce, that's not going to take off much leather. Well, we don't need that because it's a much lighter weight. We jump up to a number 2, good 8 to 9 ounce. There we go. Now we edge on the back side as well as the front. We're on our way to a nice rounded edge. But how about we take a number 2 up to a big, thick saddle skirting, 13 to 15 ounce. Well, we get a little bit of an edge there. But how about here, we move up to a number 3, and this is really going to take off a chunk of leather. Yeah, look at that piece that comes off. But again, we're working our way to a good round edge. How about we try the number 3 on an 8 to 9? Yeah, there we go. That obviously takes off too much because I'm almost 2/3 of the way across the thickness of that leather. So, number 2 and a number 1. Yeah, there we go. A number 2 and a number 1, those are the 2 I use most often. Our corner knives are a saving grace in our shop. Now, without these, we can absolutely cut a round corner. So, say for a smaller round corner, I can just clip and then clip off the 2 points. Well, that's not a bad small round corner. We can also just make a series of smaller cuts. Now, if we mark this, we'll have a better shot at getting a good round corner. But again, we can do that, but with the corner knives, no comparison. Now, easy to tell which knife I use the most, the largest, because I tend to do a lot of larger pouches, journal covers, purse, and bag. But also down to the 30, 25 millimeter. Now, the way these are measured, say a 40 millimeter, that's 40 millimeters from the corner to the end of the bite or the end of the cut. So with this, obviously, I use that one absolutely the most. This is going to give us a much larger corner. Now, one thing I would suggest on these, because the beveled edge is on what I would consider the outside of the tool, what's going to happen is it's going to push that knife in. So we can actually get a little bit of an undercut. Where I'm going with that, so let's drop this in and maybe lean out just a little bit. Good. Nice, clean, very square corner. Let's try the number 25 because that's going to be a little bit smaller project. There we go. Again, no comparison. And something that's very cool about these is we can always cut an inside corner, which is just about impossible with a knife. We simply cut from there out. Very nice. Now, these two smaller sizes I don't often use. We've got a 4.5 millimeter and a 9 millimeter. But again, I don't work with much smaller projects. But overall, these are one of the best tools Weaver has ever added. If we've got a good revolving or rotary punch in our shop, do we actually need a dry punch? We absolutely do, because a rotary, a revolving, it's only got a throat depth of about 1.5 inches. So if we've got a hole further in a panel, we'll never get there. Dry punch, perfect answer. Now at Weaver, we've got a bunch of different sizes. And if we're working with, say, grommets or eyelets, larger items, we need to be more size specific. But right here, the 3 sizes I use most often, first off, 1/8 of an inch, and this is perfect for our rivets because I want these to be a little bit snug in that hole. That's going to give us our best bite, best durability. So that's a double cap. Same with our tubular rivets. It's a good snug fit. Now when we jump up to Chicago screws, line 24s, I tend to go with a 3/16. There we go. That's going to give us a little bit bigger hole, but again, that screw is snug in there. Same with our line 24. Now it's a little bit larger there, but again, good size hole. Now the largest, 1/4 inch, I don't often use this. That's a pretty big hole, but if we're going to go with something like a much larger lace, that could be just the right size hole. Now one more point, at Weaver we even have oval punches. There we go. That's a perfect punch for a belt or strap size hole. We got all kinds of ways to go here. I hope this is helpful information because again, let's take that hard-earned dollar and put it to the tools that are going to be the most used to us in our shop. Now I mentioned profit, not our motivation. Well, when we start making some really pretty stuff, that could change. And I'll keep my fingers crossed that it does. I hope this is good information for you. Thanks for taking time to watch The Leather Element. Good luck with your projects.